before we get started, I want you to just repeat after me. I am the creator of my reality experience. Say that one more time and don't click out. I am the creator of my reality experience. Now, of course, when you're repeating that back, when you're typing that back, put that in the comments too. When you're typing that back, I'm sure you're like, yeah, I'm the creator of my reality experience. Yeah. What I say goes. I speak my manifestations into fruition. And then sometimes you get a little discouraged because you're looking at some of the situations in your life and I'm like, holy shit. If I'm the creator of my reality experience, does that also mean that the things that I don't want to happen are due to me? Well, the answer is yes and no. Let's talk about it. We create from the foundation of who we are. That's why when you do those affirmations and the things and you do the meditations, it can make you feel good for a moment. They can make you really feel like in your body and abundant and things in the moment. But when you return back to life, it may be hard for you to really feel into the energy that you cultivated in that meditation because it's not really in resonance with who you see yourself to be, right? And so I say all this to say that there's so many positive things that come from who we are and from our vibration. Use myself as a testimony. I love what I do. I've had my business for 6 years. I've had multiple international retreats. I've led so many different containers and groups. I teach in-person classes. I've worked with Essence multiple times. All this kind of things, like I'm so proud of myself for the things that I've accomplished, but also the things that I do not desire in life, even a long time ago. You guys know about my history. You guys know about this issue that I went through that ultimately led me to be homeless and was really just the product of my own actions, letting somebody else take me out of character, getting so angry and blowing fuck up. Right? Like that was also the product of my emotions, and not just of my emotions, but of who I was at that moment. How do I take responsibility for both the light and the dark? Well, I take responsibility because the only reason why I had that blow up, the only reason why I dealt with those deep-rooted anger issues was because I lived my whole life suppressing my emotions. I lived my whole life, doing the things, doing the meditations. You guys know I grew up in Buddhist temple. My mom is a hippie-ass white mom, if y'all didn't know. I grew up going to Buddhist temples since I was a kid. I got buku pictures at Buddhist summer camps and all this other kind of stuff, right? So I grew up with the meditation. I grew up with all these things, but still I had these issues. Why? Because sometimes it takes a deeper dive into yourself. It takes a deeper dive into your energy centers and really restoring balance within yourself and within your foundation to really start to see change, to really start to manifest something different. And so let's talk about this whole thing about suppressing and the anger that I was feeling and how that was also me, being homeless and going through that whole situation. I take full responsibility for that as well, right? I take full responsibility for that as well because I didn't know how to regulate my own emotions. I took full responsibility for that as well because the relationship that I had with my body and my emotions was skewed. And it actually doesn't start with the emotions. You guys already know, I'm going to start to talk about the energy centers, the chakras. It didn't start with the Manipura. It didn't start with the solar plexus. It started with the Muladhara. It started with the root. And so when we speak about being able to emotionally regulate yourself, the first step to emotionally regulating yourself is actually coming into your body. And your Muladhara, your root chakra, is the initiation into your body. And when we go through certain situations in our childhood where, we have family, parents, caregivers that make us feel very unsafe emotionally, physically, spiritually, that are very unstable, we can't look to them for stability. When there's anything in our life, in our home environment that is not stable, maybe you moved a lot, maybe you did have, a parent with BPD or a parent with, some type of mood disorder, or it was just very unstable, then you learn that the environment is not safe. And from you learning that the environment is not safe, what ends up happening is you constantly start to seek safety in others. And you constantly start to seek safety in things outside of yourself to try to restore that harmony within. And all of that leads to disembodiment. All of that leads to you not really connecting in with yourself because you're too scared to even come within yourself because you're constantly trying to put out the fires of your environment. You don't slow down enough. You don't feel safe to slow down enough to even come back into your body and ask, how do I feel? Because you're always trying to regulate the people around you. You're always trying to regulate the things that are going on in your external environment, trying to, create some type of balance, create some type of peace. Even as children, we do that. Have you ever had a child come up to you and be like, oh, mommy, it's okay? Or you're trying to make your parent feel better? Maybe you can remember too. Those moments where you try to make your parent feel better about something that deep down, you may have known that it had nothing to do with you, but in the moment, you're like, maybe I can do something to help my parent feel better. Maybe I can do something to help the situation feel more safe. And in the moment, you're trying to comfort that parent, but also you're trying to comfort yourself because your environment feels unsafe. It's very emotionally unstable. And so when we grow up in those environments, then we leave our bodies. And so then we come into the Svadhisthana. We come into the sacral chakra. And that is the second energy center. So if you're disembodied, what do you think that means? Well, if you're disembodied and you're not really connecting with yourself, what ends up happening is you don't even know what makes you happy. You don't even know what brings you pleasure. You don't feel safe enough in your body to even express what's within, because in the Svadhisthana, what the center is really in charge of is how we share ourselves with the world. It's in charge of our creativity. The Svadhisthana is the center where the divine self and the human self meet, and the product of that union is creativity. And so when you're growing up in these unsafe environments, and then we come into that space of creativity, we don't even feel safe enough to express ourselves creatively. And so then what ends up happening is that we look to extremes many times. What are the extremes? Well, we look to things outside of ourselves to make us feel that divine connection within. Maybe we abuse drugs. I know for me, definitely was the Swede, baby. I was on the Swede from high school up until when I got arrested. I was on the Swede, baby. Now I can't even look at it. I love the smell, but I can't even look at that shit right now. I can't even look at that shit anymore because I'm way too emotionally and energetically sensitive for it. And again, everyone's tool is different, but you have to be really honest with yourself about if you are abusing or if you are really using this as a crutch. So what ends up happening is you feel unsafe in your body, and then you're looking for pleasure, you're looking for creativity, you're looking for that emotional outlet. And so then what ends up happening is many times you look to things outside of your body to help you feel that bliss of the union of self within. And so then what ends up happening after that, right? Well, then we get into the solar plexus, we get into the manipura. So we're not in our bodies, we're not expressing ourselves creatively. We're not expressing ourselves creatively. And so then what ends up happening is there's a shame that's built in the Svadhisthana that in the manipura tunes into that shame and says, oh, I'm not safe to express myself creatively. I must not be safe to also express my emotions. You also learn that from those early years of childhood, that it's not safe for me to express my emotions. It's not safe for me to express how I feel. It's not safe. And so then what ends up happening is you suppress. You suppress what you're feeling. You suppress your emotions. And so from that suppression, see, we have to understand that the solar plexus is the chakra of alchemy. We end up sitting on all that rage. That's exactly what I was doing. I was sitting on all that rage. And to a point where the situation in itself, and I'm not going to get too much into the situation, but the situation itself was building and building and building. The tension was building and building and building. And from all the patterns that I learned when I was a child, that I wasn't safe to express my emotions, that I wasn't safe to express myself, what then end up happening was that I carried those problems and I kept suppressing, I kept not standing up for myself, and then there was a blow up. And so what ends up happening, my loves, is the fact that like your foundation will create the world around you. Your relationship with yourself, with your body, with these different energy centers will create the world around you, for positive and for quote unquote negative. Let's keep going up this journey for a moment here. if you keep suppressing your emotions, then what do you think happens to your heart? Now, I'm sure you've heard, oh, the heart chakra is all about love. It's all about love. Let's talk about it in a little bit more of a deeper sense. Because again, the way that we understand the energy centers has been very watered down in New Age spirituality. The heart chakra is actually the space where we become authentic. The heart chakra, yes, it is about love, but the ultimate act of love is being a witness to truth, the truth of all. Knowing that truth does not mean this or that. Truth means this and that. And when we're able to witness all versions of ourselves, that is the only moment in time where we can really love ourselves. When we don't suppress these parts of ourselves, we can really witness and say, hey, all of them are valid. That part that was angry, that part that is loving, that part that is creative, that part that is codependent, I love all of you. And we're gonna bring everybody to the center. And we're going to be honest with ourselves about how we've been neglecting our own truth and how we've been pushing away our own authenticity. That's the only time that we can really enter the heart chakra, and the anahata is also the space where we enter the light body. And the light body can only be entered through enlightenment. And enlightenment, again, light itself is transparency and is truth. And so then if you think, oh, these blocks are happening, what do you think happens in the heart? Well, in the heart is where you start to build the false self. All those years of not being in your body, all those years of, not really connecting in with yourself, all those years of not really tuning into your emotions, all those years of suppressing, it creates this version of you that you've learned to use to navigate through the world that helps you look a little bit normal. That helps you look a little bit normal. It helps you look a little bit normal to everybody else. Well, no, she's cool. She's chilling. Maybe she's a little spacey. Maybe she's a little whatever. But it's normal. Ciao. Most of the time, when we've ignored ourselves for so long, we've also suppressed the true version of ourselves. And most of the time, when we don't look at our truth and we don't really tune into our truth, we do this because we're scared of really acknowledging who we are, because we have been taught since childhood that we cannot be safely who we are, that we cannot be safely in our bodies. It all starts again with the Muladhara, with the root. And so then what ends up happening? Let's go up the line. We get to the Vishuddha. We get to the throat. Now, of course, again, you may have heard the throat is about speaking up for yourself. Actually, speaking up for yourself comes from the Manipura, which is your seat of personal power. Now, it's through the throat that, yes, we communicate, but the throat is a lot deeper than that. Let's break it down. It's actually in the throat that we are able to tap into the etheric realms, the realms in which our higher self exists in, the realms in which spirit guides exist in, the realms that are above physical reality that actually help us to create physical reality. And so it is through the throat that we actually are able to channel source, channel our higher self, and channel the higher aspects of us. The throat is actually the center of purification. Now, how is this related? Well, it's purification. My cat's trying to get my attention. We go stay on track. Well, it's the center of purification because it allows us to speak and create what is of truth. And not the truth of ourselves necessarily. It can be the truth of ourselves, but it also allows us to speak and create the truth of our reality, which is harmony, alignment, and love. It helps you channel your purpose. And your purpose, of course, is all of our purpose. All of the different purposes that we have are all in contribution to the collective. We are all one organism moving as one. And so the Vishuddha, the throat, really helps us channel timeline, the dream timeline blueprint. It helps us channel what our higher self wants to say. It helps us step into our purpose. It helps us become who we always have been. It helps us transcend the physical. Why? Because again, we enter the light body through the anahata, and then through the throat, we come fully into that space of light. We come fully into that space of infinite totality, because from the anahata, from the light body, we then enter the etheric template realm, which holds the space for reality creation. And we exist in all realms, but it's through the energy centers that we actually are able to consciously bring our awareness to these higher realms. And so what do you think happens if you're inauthentic You're not connected with your voice. You're not connected to your higher self. You're not connected to the version of you who is really in tune with source. Because what ends up happening with that is if you deny your truth, you deny your authenticity, you're also denying all parts of yourself, even the most divine parts of yourself. And so you're not even tuned into how deeply the messages are from your higher self. Your throat, your Vishuddha, doesn't just govern how freely we speak, it also governs how deeply we listen. And then we reach the third eye. Now, the third eye is not just your seat of intuition, but the third eye is also where we begin to understand duality and peel back the illusion of duality as well. And so what do you think happens? Again, we're ignoring our authenticity. We're ignoring what is trying to be channeled through us. And then we get to that third eye and we end up becoming obsessed with either this or that. Life is terrible or life is amazing. And you might find yourself really emotionally unstable because the information that you're getting from your third eye is focusing and fixating on duality if it is blocked, and then you're not allowing yourself to even listen to your intuition because you're not even in your body to even listen to your intuition and really allow that seat of intuition, that third eye, to guide you through life and help you understand your truth. Then of course we go all the way up to the crown, and the crown is all about oneness. It's about merging back with the divine. And when we're not merged with the divine, what ends up happening is we're experiencing a lot of feelings of depression, of hopelessness, of not understanding why things are the way that they are, blaming yourself or blaming the world, and just feeling fully disconnected from yourself. And so reality is a mirror. How do you recreate it? You recreate it by going within, by coming back into your body, by fully tuning into your creative expression, by tuning into your feelings and what you want to say and feel, by tuning into your heart and rediscovering who you are authentically, by tuning into your Vishuddha and tapping into your higher self, by tuning into your third eye and really allowing your intuition to speak and allow your intuition to reveal and to release the illusions of separation that you may have created in your life. And then returning back to your crown, and this is the space where you return back to the divine. And so life is literally created on this. You know, it's not going to be the journal. It's not going to be the manifestation course. It's not going to be any, unless your manifestation course is including all this information. Your manifestation course is not really truly going to help you if you have not come back to your body. Your manifestation course, whatever the things that you're doing, you're investing in, you know, these things are not fully going to help to recreate your reality until you have understood that you have created both the good and the bad. That's actually part of the journey of the heart, is acknowledging both. And so from this space of coming back into your body, reclaiming your body as a safe space, from coming back into the Svadhisthana and expressing yourself creatively, from venturing all the way to the Manipura and actually using our emotions for good and not blowing the fuck up, but like actually listening to yourself, expressing yourself in an effective way, and allowing your feelings to be heard and expressed, by coming into the heart and acknowledging your authenticity, by coming to your throat and connecting with your higher self, by coming into your third eye and acknowledging your intuition, and by coming into your crown and reuniting with the divine. This is how we begin to change our reality. Because then you actually arrive fully with your body. You actually arrive with all these different aspects of you these aspects of you, these energy centers, they're waiting to be illuminated. They're waiting to be woken up. So you create the good and the bad, and the only way to recreate is to actually come back into your body and redefine your relationship with yourself. You guys already know first contact goes through each one of these energy centers. This is by far my favorite thing that I've ever created, my best work yet. We spend 3 days on each energy center, and we use your higher self as guide throughout the entire process. If you want more information, it's going to be down below, and that's what I got to say. I love y'all so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.